Ultimately, it is the only way to ensure Israel's future as a Jewish and democratic state, and of course the only way to give the Palestinians the state to which they're entitled. That's where we have to go. But that, I don't think, is something for necessarily for today.
So that right there, Secretary of State Antony Blinken reinforcing President Joe Biden's stance when it comes to Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Joining us now from Tel Aviv, Israel, contributing correspondent from Axios, Barak Ravid. Barak, good morning to you.
Hi, Rachel. Good morning. SNL was so much more fun.
Back in the day?
No, I mean, talking about SNL is so much more fun than going back to talking about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
I'm with you.
You caught me off guard. You're right. Yeah, you know, we gotta make quick transitions here, but it is a little bit much of a lighter topic. We are seeing a lot of online reaction talking about what's trending online. A lot of online reaction to the situation in Israel. You know, Barak, we entered this weekend with calls for that ceasefire. But first, let's start with what's the latest on the ground in Israel today?
Well, first we have, since the night between Thursday and Friday, everything is quiet, both in Gaza and in Israel. There are no rockets, no airstrikes. And it seems that everyone are pretty happy to go back to where we were 2 weeks ago. But on both sides, you see attempts by the Hamas leadership, by the Israeli government. Each side is trying to at least claim that he won this round of violence. The Israelis are saying that Hamas got hit in the hardest way it was ever hit since in the last 15 years. Hamas, on the other hand, says, look, we managed to fire rockets on Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, so we won. And now what the Egyptians are doing, basically, the Egyptian mediators, they're trying to somehow anchor down this ceasefire so that it's not just going to be a ceasefire for a few days, but that there will be some sort of an arrangement that will allow this thing to go on and be a bit more long-term.
You make an excellent point there, Barak. There seems to be a battle over not just ideas and words, but who won and who's to blame. But also, the Biden administration is backing a two-state solution, calling for two states, for two groups of people. Can you explain to us exactly a little bit more about that and what it could mean for the future?
Well, you know, the two-state solution is something that at the end of the day was supported, I think, by any U.S. president in the last few decades, even Donald Trump, that for the first 3 years of his presidency kept things ambiguous and did not say if he supports a two-state solution. At the end of the day, when he presented his peace plan, he also went for a two-state solution. So at the end of the day, I think there's a broad bipartisan consensus that there needs to be some sort of an agreement between the Israelis and Palestinians that will divide the land between the Mediterranean and the Jordan River into two states. The main discussion is where exactly do you draw the line? And this is what people here are fighting over for almost 100 years.
Almost 100 years. And last time you and I talked, you were very adamant about the U.S. keeping the situation in Israel out of politics here, not to use Israel as a political football. But something else we're also seeing, not just people picking sides, if you will, but the United States is experiencing a wave of anti-Semitic attacks. That we're seeing that from New York to Los Angeles and almost everywhere in between. Why do you think that is, and how can we stop it?
I think it's very similar to what we saw in 2014 during the Gaza war. I think that now it is a bit more, the problem is a bit bigger, and maybe things are more, we see it more on social media, so it gets more attention. But there was a rise in anti-Semitism in the U.S. after the 2014 war in Gaza too. And I think it's a matter of great concern, because at the end of the day, many of the Jews living in America, even if they have feelings towards Israel, they're American citizens. Mm-hmm. They're not Israelis. And a lot of the people who attack them are blaming them for things that the Israeli government did that they have nothing to do with. And I think that in any case, the fact that this operation in Gaza turned into a wave of anti-Semitism, I think it's a matter of real concern, and both parties
Right.
The Republicans and the Democrats need to take a very hard look at America right now and how we got to such a situation. And this is something that needs a bipartisan approach to fight.
How we got here and how to get out of it. Barak Ravid, thank you as always for your insight. We appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.